Hello, Papper people. This is one of the studies that I did when I was trying to figure out the INAP. It is the intermittent negative air pressure device. I did 2 studies of my home sleep diagnostic equipment, axgsleepdiagnostics.com, if you're curious. So here's what we're looking at. I'm trying to do it blind. So I had my wife pull this up. I don't know what study this is. I just know it's one of them. So I'm not going to be influenced. Both nights were very similar as far as I know. I have no idea which one this is. I just know I'm going to score it, and I'm going to try and score them as equally as possible. So I've already deleted several of the automatic arousal events. I know I hit the button to go to bed. So this is going to be my lights out, and I just dorked that up. So lights out. So a lot of people like the scoring of this stuff. I geek out on it, and really the only reason I'm showing this, I should say 2 reasons. I actually fell asleep really fast, so I'm asleep right there already. If we go back, you can see alpha waves. So let me get to this first. A lot of techs watch this channel, and a lot of them starting out, and they don't really have confidence of how to score. So I like to show that, but I also like the transparency, so you guys can see, yeah, I did the study. Yeah, this is what we're looking at, that kind of thing. All right, so we have alpha waves, 8 to 12 cycles per second. Right here, it looks like we have a transition. It looks doesn't this look different, boys and girls, than this over here? By the way, this M1 FP2, M2 FP2, these are both EEG channels. Now, it's not like a full-on sleep study. This is a little different. It's a little modified. It's a home sleep test that I use, and I have a little extra yoke that I can get EEG out of. FP1 and 2, this is a combined channel. I just use it so I have another channel that I can have to kind of look at. Honestly, it's a little worthless. I might get rid of it. But let me pull up and see. Do I have? No, that's all I have. I'm SOL. So that's enough. That's good enough for me. So this is wake. I scored it as wake. We advance on. Looks like we have sleep now. I'm going to advance forward just one more just to be sure. Yeah, that's definitely sleep. I'm actually going to call this one wake also. No, I'm not. Yeah, I am. I'm calling that wake. So wake, this one's sleep. So we have slow rolling eye movements up here. LEOG is left eye. REOG is right eye. EMG here. This is the chin. We have 3 channels of EEG, brain activity. This nice pink one is the snore. Nice. Down here, we have P-flow, which is a pressure transducer. I'm going to increase that so you can see it better. We have the thoracic. That's the upper belt. We have the abdominal belt. ABD, and then we have some effort. We have the pulse rate. We have the blood oxygen level. This one is like way out of whack. Anyway, we should be able to see everything there. Okay, so we have stage 1. So 1. We're still going to call that 1. We're looking for a K complex or a sleep spindle. There is a K complex. However, it is past the 15-second mark. So we're going to go ahead and call this 1 with the idea as the next page being 2. If there's no arousals, there's no arousals. So we retroactively go back to that other K complex on the other page. This is 2. We have a little sleep spindle right there. So this is definitely 2. And we're just going to keep it in 2. We'll keep it rocking. See a couple right here. Sleep spindle all throughout. 2, 2, 2. Now we have some much larger K complexes. All 2. God, I wish I knew what study this was. I'm very curious. So all 2. So now what we're looking for, usually N3 or delta is going to appear. If I'm going to have it, it's going to be coming up soon. I should probably put in some of these threshold lines. So, reference lines. So this is 75 microvolts as well as negative 75 microvolts. We're looking for the wave to cross that line, and it has to do it basically 6 times, which would be roughly 6 seconds to be stage N3. This is not. So we're going to progress. It's actually really distracting to have that there. I don't like it. I usually just eyeball it because it's not, I don't know. I just usually eyeball it. So this is all stage 2. That one's bordering on stage 3 because we have 1. Actually, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Not quite enough, in my opinion. I could be wrong. I score really, really high on the inner score reliability, so I have that. But to be honest, sleep staging is probably my worst as far as the 4 categories. I think it's kind of like that with most people, but I could definitely do better on sleep staging. And I don't know, sometimes the ISR, like to me, they're like clearly wrong. So I'm going to pretend like it's not my fault and blame it on other people. I should probably go back. What I said, this caught my eye as being stage 3, as did this, although I might change that back to 2, which I'm going to do. So we're still cruising in 2. So what we usually do as scores is we go through, we call it 2 pass. And so the first pass, I'm going to look at it on a 30-second page, which is what this is. Then I'm going to go through it on another page. By the way, every time it changes, I'm just advancing 30 seconds. This is a 30-second page, otherwise known as an epic. So I'm hitting 2, 2, and you can see the epic progressing. We go through it one time to get the staging all underway, and then we go through it again. I'm going to call that stage 3 because it's just wild. There's an arousal. Woohoo! Well, not woohoo. We go through it twice. The next time I'm going to open this window up too, it'll look like this. And so you can see more respiratory events and things like that. It's a 2-minute window. We go back to the other one. So this is the 30-second window. So we have an arousal. I'm not going to mark this yet because I can see it on the other screen actually better. But this would potentially trigger a stage change. So now you have to reevaluate. But it's already stage 2. We have some K complexes. So we're going to keep this in 2 and keep the party rolling. So we go through once to make sure staging is all good. And then we go through again to do respiratory. We do arousals, things like that. Right here we have an arousal. So we have stage 2. This is one of those tricky pages. Stage 2, 4, it looks like about 8 seconds. So we have 8 seconds of sleep. Then we have 8 to 16. So another 8 seconds of wake. And then from here, let's see, we have 16 to 27. So that's another 11 of, looks like stage 1, and then wake. So we have an arousal, we have another arousal. The majority of the page is sleep, but then we have half or a little bit being stage 2, most of it being stage 1. So we're calling this stage 1. That's how you do it, kids. Really freaking painful, but stage 1. Because we had another arousal, that's going to be stage 1 as well. But at the end, we have Uncle's sleep spindles. So we're going to call this 1, but with a little 2 at the end. 2. So we're expecting, let's see, every 90 minutes, we're going to be expecting REM sleep. So REM sleep, let's see, fell asleep at basically 11. So at 12:30, we're actually not really that close to it. 12:30, we're going to be expecting our first REM period. Unless I have a history of depression, and then you'd expect it after an hour. I am definitely not depressed. I'm a very happy, well-adjusted child. Man-child. Big man baby. This is actually looking like it's trying to be REM, which is very interesting. So we're calling this all 2 right here. Even though it's all very attenuated, it's looking as if it's attempting to be REM there for a period. Now it's not. Now it's decidedly not trying to be anything close to REM. This is delta, stage 3. All this is stage 3. See how massive these waves are? Stage 3 doesn't usually hide. It usually pops out and lets it be known. Like, hey, I'm stage 3. So what you're going to see is typically stage 3, N3 will just all of a sudden transition. Everything will get real quiet. And by quiet, I mean all these lines get very flat and in a line. And then you have REM. So we had a little awakening there, but this is all delta. And 3, otherwise known as slow wave sleep. This is really highly associated with like muscle aches and pains. If people don't have N3, it's like the tissues are healing during this stage. People with fibromyalgia, you'll notice alpha delta waves, otherwise known as alpha intrusion on top of them. And it's an affliction that I've noticed. Everyone who has like chronic fatigue syndrome, any chronic muscular aches such as fibromyalgia, they tend to have that alpha delta sleep. I do not. My muscles are taut and strong. I'm a very thick boy. Okay, it is getting to be past the time we'd expect REM. This is looking like it's very REM-y. It's starting to appear, and there we have it. So we have these non-synchronous eye movements going in opposite directions. That's my little eyes looking different directions. I believe that's, yeah. And then we're pinching in right here. So this is definitely REM. We have no chin, mixed voltage, low voltage, mixed frequency in the EEG. And this is REM. Those are eye movements. And hopefully we'll get some bigger ones. Oh, there they go. Now those are nice REM eye movements. And you can see some of them, they kind of bleed into the EEG normal. Over here, we have some sawtooth waves. These are theta waves, about 7 cycles per second, otherwise known as sawtooth waves. But this is all REM. First REM period is usually pretty short, about 5 minutes. Now I'm on my back. You can see the body position right here. S is for supine. It's not T for tum-tum. But as we move along, I wake up here. We'll look at why I woke up later. That's not for now. But you can see, look at this chin. The chin is really low. It's like a little pencil. As I wake up, my chin tone comes back. It gets much larger. I'm going to advance forward. And now I'm back to sleep here, but my chin tone is still elevated. So that's pretty interesting to old Uncle Pappers here. So this is going to be stage 1. Now you could retroactively call it REM if I go back into REM, which it looks like I'm going to. So I'm going to go back, REM, and we just keep the party rolling in REM. Really nice sawtooth waves right here. Those are a beaut. Looks like a tiger shark. Nice, very nice. So you guys, I had very nice REM sleep just for you. So we're going to keep it in REM. Why am I having so much REM for my first cycle? Unreal. That's like a kind of a long period. My God. Mom, if you're watching this, I really am an overachiever. Every dime you spent on me was so well worth it. I'm kidding. That was stupid. All right. REM, there's an arousal there. I'm going to call it stage 1 because I'm trying to just move this along. I know I'm asleep. And really, I ultimately with this, I care about the AHI. I don't think one epic, if I'm off, is going to mess with the overall data set. I'm going to be just as cavalier with the next one. So we're back to stage 1. Now 2, because we have this K complex here at the beginning. There's no size. Remember, guys, size does not matter for K complexes. Just has to be a sharp negative, which is up, followed by a sharp positive deflection. This is clear. That's stage 2 for me. ISR guys, the Interscore Reliability Board would probably say, no, not enough. But I always disagree. Not always, but often, I should say. As we were moving along, still stage 2. Now we have an arousal, but sleep on the back end of it, the second half. So we have sleep from here to here. We have a wake period from here to roughly here. And then sleep, I'm calling that stage 1. K complex there at the beginning, about 7 seconds in. And we're going to keep moving. So I'm going to do another one of these. I'll probably just cut this video off as soon as I'm done staging it, which, God bless, I have a lot. I need to get cracking here. Back into Delta. Holy smokes. Stage 3. When I'm done with this guy, I'm going to actually have a bunch of appointments today, so I probably won't even get to do the other one today. We'll go over this exact same thing with the respiratory. All of the respiratory channels. So this is just staging. So, this is probably really not that helpful. I just kind of wanted to do a video of this stuff because I never do staging. And these are nice because I always have sleep texts, registered sleep texts that pop on and say, oh, your whatever's off, or your blah, blah. And the comments are always really, really stupid. One guy was saying it was upside down, which was ridiculous because what? Upside down? You'd have to invert the polarity. The man is crazy. So we're back into REM here. As you can see, this is interesting. I'm going up to this top hypnogram here. So we have slightly before 1 a.m., we have a REM onset. So we would expect REM to appear about an hour and a half after that, which would be 2:30, which is pretty much right where it started here. So I always tell that of people when they're doing one of my AXG PAP therapy analysis, you can really look at the waveform. Let's do that right now. That'll be a fun exercise. Actually, let me do this. I'm gonna go even bigger. Boom. So do you see this wave pattern? This is all, it appears to be REM eye movements. Do you see how this breathing, the overall trend is those football shapes that I usually tell you guys about? Some are long, some are short, some are short. This is exactly what I'm talking about. REM sleep, REM breathing tends to look like this. It looks like photoshopped footballs. If you're in the UK, let's go with a rugby ball, because I know footballs for you is something entirely different, actually to the entire rest of the world. But I'm a Yank, so we're kind of egocentric over here. Anyway, that's what it looks like. So if I go back to a 30-second screen, you can't pick that up like at all. But when you zoom out, you can certainly pick up that pattern. So all this is still REM, REM, REM. Big, nice eye movements that just every now and then confirm, yeah, you're still in REM. And then we had a little, I'm not going to even call this an arousal. It looks like just the chin actually popped a little bit. We'll look at that later. Yeah, it looks like the chin is actually off right there. I know I had on, the chin always falls off. If one chin falls off, they both kind of malfunction because they need each other as a reference. So we have a big arousal there. Back to sleep. I kind of assume it's it's REM, but I'm gonna go with one just in case. Yeah, I'm glad. One, now that's two. There's a K complex, so 2, 2, 2. So maybe that was an arousal, and I did get lifted out of REM. So we have another arousal there for, I don't know why. I'll figure that out later. And stage 2 still, we have an arousal at the end. So this is 2 with an arousal, so we're gonna reset. This is all awake. You can see alpha, even though I'm relaxed, eyes closed, that's what you'll get. Alpha. Looks like a big old caterpillar. So we have sleep here, but it looks like wake starting right in this area. You can see how the EEG shifts right there. And this is wake, wake. All this is wake. Can you see the big caterpillar going across? That's how I know my eyes are closed. I'm trying to sleep, and I'm back asleep right on this page for sure. And I'm back awake. You can see that's great. That's lovely. I hate that. So this is all awake. That's asleep. Why am I going? So now I'm awake. Now I'm asleep. Now I'm awake. Oh my gosh. Hopefully you can pick up on that. See the alpha through there. So I'm awake. I'm awake. I'm awake. Wake. All this is wake. Now I'm gonna go back. So you see these eye movements? Some people get confused. And this is like, I'll say that programs are really bad at automating REM sleep, because if they look at eyes, like this kind of to an untrained eye looks like REM sleep, sort of. If you think of a computer, I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna click here. It's gonna take me to actual REM. Look at this versus this. So the eye movements are similar, but not. Like you can see the difference of this, but a computer can't. I'm gonna try to hit that exact page. I missed it. Do you see that? I mean, you can tell, you can see the EEG, but yet it's low. The frequency isn't quite as slow because this is wake. So that's, you really, having a human eye is, to me, super, super important. Anyway, we're gonna move along. This is all wake. And we have a transition to sleep right here. So sleep 1. All this is stage 1. It's looking like it's going to be REM again, and we are expecting a REM period to come up again. It's about that time to break forth the rhythm in the rhyme. Nothing like a Marky Mark reference. Sure, this is going to be copyright struck because I sang that. I'm going to get mine, so get yours. I want to see sweat coming at your paws. So dumb. Normally I watch YouTube or listen to YouTube as I do this because it's semi-mindless. But today you get the smooth, soft sounds of Thick Boy, Uncle Pappers, Mr. Lanky, doing a little sleep staging. All this is 2. This is just 2. Most of the night is going to be stage 2. We have an arousal right there. Typically, you get 50% of the night being stage 2. 25-ish, well, actually 20% is typically, there's REM. So REM started, I'm going to call it right here. Instead of 2, I called this 2 because I was fast fingering it. So REM, it's wake. Normally 20% is delta. Well, let's start over. 5% stage 1 or N1. 20%. Oh God, let me do them in order. Stage 1 is typically 5%. Stage N2 is typically 50%. And stage N3, wow, I just REM out of nowhere. Stage 3 is typically 20%, and REM is typically 25%. So, I mean, you never actually get that. Those are just like averages. But it normally, in people who are fairly healthy, normal sleepers, will tend to get that kind of breakdown or something close. Usually delta or stage N3 is the lower of them, especially as you age, for sure. I'm definitely aging. So all this is REM. You can see the eye movements. You can see the thin chin, and then if they're asleep with that, it's, for the layman, that's probably a good way to go. And you can kind of pick up the breathing decreasing and increasing, kind of waxing and waning, even though we're on a 30-second trend as I move along. Very normal for REM sleep. What you're not wanting is if you have there's a specific look of a hypopnea that will occur. You'll see desaturation, like a massive desaturation. You'll see a huge EEG spike like this one here. It doesn't look like it's really caused by anything. But there's a specific look to a hypopnea in REM sleep, and the typical normal waxing and waning of it is not a hypopnea, unless it meets the 30% desaturation, and you have an arousal, and you have, a 30% decrease in airflow with a 4% or greater desaturation, or an arousal, depending on what scoring rule you're doing. By the way, I'm using the 4% desaturation scoring rule for hypopneas on this. There's different criteria. That's just the one I use. Any lab I start up, that's what we use. I feel it is more all-encompassing of people's sleep. You have a nice, RERAs are scored, which are respiratory effort-related arousals, which gives you an RDI in addition to an AHI, and it gives a patient more options, and they know the severity of their sleep apnea. I think it's a more valuable number, because then if you don't use it, you tend to have patients that have are not diagnosed, or they don't understand that they have these RERAs that just didn't meet the threshold for being an AHI, yet it still woke them up and still caused them to feel like absolute trash. And those are the people that kind of fall through the cracks throughout life, feel like crap and don't know why. And it's probably because you had an RDI that was off the roof, or crazy high, with an AHI below 5. And then on your sleep report, those people will typically see a bunch of spontaneous arousals. Well, why so many arousals? It's because they were really RERAs that weren't even scored. That's typically the case. So let's see, we should be having another REM period right here somewhere. I'm expecting it based on the time. And boom, there we go, REM. Actually, I'm going to see, start it. I think right there at the end. So the second half of this page looks like REM. And then we have an arousal. I'm going to call this REM still because, yep, went right back into it. That's the look back rule. If any of you want to know what that's called, the look back rule. It's kind of like cheating, but not. It's what all the cool kids are doing. No, it's actually the recommendation. So I'm back to stage 1 because the chin is up right now. And then now I'm 2 because at the very beginning of this page, there's a sleep spindle right there. So this is full transparency. This is how I score. This is a scoring method for sleep staging. If this kind of garbage is of interest to you, I'm really glad, because I can guarantee you this video is going to get practically no views. If you are an aspiring sleep tech, that's awesome. I wish you the best of luck in your career. let me offer you this sage advice as I'm thinking I'm about to wake up here. When your coworkers are at night screwing around, watching YouTube, watching Netflix, watching Hulu, chatting on the phone, playing video games, I know that stuff's fun and there's an allure to it, but you don't learn anything about your job and about your craft if you're not paying attention. By the way, we're back in REM. Big eye movements. That's one thing I'm really glad I did. While my coworkers all screwing around doing whatever, I really, really dove into this and really paid attention to it. And I'm so glad I did, because I think it gives you all kinds of insight as to what patients are actually doing during the night. And you can really learn a lot. There's a lot you can learn. There's a lot of patterns that you can pick up in breathing and what what it looks like during the stage of the subtle respiratory changes. And then even EEG is different in people. And you'll start to notice differences when people are taking specific medications, and how it affects their EEG and how it affects people differently. It's fascinating. And for me to like sit here and tell you, well, this is what to look for, it doesn't really work that way. Some of these things you have to have a little bit of self-discovery, and that actually, to me, makes it a lot stronger, because you are your own scientist. Why not be the trailblazer yourself? You can just by simply paying attention, you can really learn a lot. So this is stage 2. I'm guessing junk sleep is about to start coming up. And by junk sleep, I mean people usually start having a bunch of centrals. Looks like I'm going to wake up. This was a fairly good night. I'm not sure, like I said, what night this was, but my God. So now I'm looking for the button press. Where's the button press? Looking on did I miss it? Ah, there it is. Right there, this little thing. It looks like a melted candle. So we're going to wake this, or lights on it. Boom. So that set our parameters. So now I'm going to go back and score it. Respiratory. I'm cutting this video off. We'll restart. We'll reboot. And I'm really dragging this iNap thing out, aren't I? But I wanted this one so people can geek out over it with me. Again, another video coming with respiratory. Looks like that one will be much shorter, because I don't think I saw too much respiratory stuff going on. That's it. I'm calling it quitsies. And please let me know if you appreciate this kind of geeky footage, as I know I certainly do. Even if it gets 300 views and those 300 people dug it, I appreciate you watching. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Wow, you've got yourself a stinky mask. Pick up some Mask Bright today. Thank you to all watching, but an extra thick thanks, buddy, to Patricia Espelong, Ray Troutman, Sarvesh Joshi, Stuart Hetherington, Matthew Lilly, and Mona Swearingen. And thank you to my other level Patreon supporters, as well as my YouTube members. Especially Susie Balvez. I left you off the last one. I'm so sorry.